Oi, Grixie. Hey, Grixie. Crixus is here. Anyway, last Tuesday was election day, and I didn't vote. Now, voting is something that I used to look forward to. In fact, when I turned 18, I was excited to vote. I was big Johnny patriotic, wanting to go out there and vote for whatever referendum that I didn't even really understand. It had something to do with zoning and taxation of something or other. And a state senator who I didn't even know who 3 of the candidates were. But I was part of the process. I was able to help sculpt the direction of the state I lived in, the township I lived within, and help change laws to potentially the way that I saw them and other people like me saw them. I had such an air of patriotism about the process that I made political science my major in college. I took that into a career in politics, worked for a number of candidates and people that ended up being elected into office. Had great times doing that for a couple of years. Have since changed from that field of work. Where I'm working now is neither here nor there. But suffice to say, I became demotivated by the whole process and just the air of politics and elections in America, but we'll get to all that disgruntlement here in a second. Is disgruntlement a word? It should be. Anyway. One of the things that really got me, and I was disgruntled about American politics for a couple of years here, was, coincidentally enough, I'm wearing a shirt representing Scotland here. Girlfriend got me this when she was on vacation in Scotland some years ago. Scotland held an election a few months back in the summer for independence. Actually, I think it was like last month, wasn't it? Anyways, they are basically holding a vote for independence to basically separate themselves from Mother England, for lack of a better term, and become their own little, well, they are their own little country, but just basically be no part of a conglomerate of nations, just be their own selves and do their own thing. And the vote failed, but that's not what I want to draw from that. It's that, I forget what the exact number was. It was like 85%. It was actually, I think it was a little more. It was 80-some% of people that were eligible to vote in Scotland went to the polls and took a vote in this election. When I saw that, I was like, wow, does this make America look fucking stupid? Because in American elections, presidential elections being the ones that draw the most voters for obvious reasons, it's picking your head honcho for the country, you're lucky to see 50% of people that are eligible to vote actually show up to vote in an election. In fact, the last time you saw a presidential election in this country break 60% was in 1968. 1968 was the last time in this country you saw a general election for President of the United States break 60% of people that were eligible to vote actually going to the voting booth and voting. That means 6 out of every 10 people elected the leader. Since 1968, you've seen 50s and 40s as far as percentage of people that were eligible to vote actually going out to the polls. Think about that. Once you start dipping into the 40s, that means less than half the people that are eligible to go out and vote actually went out to vote. So your leader is chosen by the absolute minority. But not only that, if you think that, each election, generally it's almost 50-50 between Democrat and Republican. A blowout election is like, Barack winning by like 6 percentage points. So if you think about that, if you have elections that go down into 40%, and then half of that 40%, it was 1996, for instance, that election, I think it was like 49% of the people who went out to vote. You had X amount of people voting Republican, X amount of people voting for Democrat, and Bill Clinton won that year. I think it was by like 4 or 5 percentage points over Bob Dole. You have half of that 49% that went out to vote in that 1996 election. So you're basically looking at 26, 7, 8% of the American populace that is eligible to vote. I hope I explained it well. I suck at explaining math. You basically have less than 30% of the country picking your leader. The people that are over the age of 18 and able to vote. That's pretty fucking pathetic. And then you have these off elections, these off-year elections, like what you had last Tuesday. You're lucky to see 20% of people that are eligible to vote in America actually go to the polls. Because if there isn't something like a big president nominee on the ticket, good luck getting people coming out to the polls. And then you have something like this in Scotland where the president wasn't even on the ticket. It was just a referendum to vote for independence. And you got 85+% show up. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Why should I care to vote in a process that so few care to partake in? And on top of that, how many people going to the polls even understand the issues, understand why they're voting for this guy over that guy? The majority of people are just going because this guy has an R next to his name or that guy has a D next to his name. It doesn't really matter where they stand on the issues. It's just the guy has a D and that guy's an R, and I'm going to vote for one over the other. I mean, it's really ridiculous when you think about it, and it's not a process that I want to be a part of. I know you could be saying like, oh, well, you're an asshole. You could decide, whether or not your mortgage rates go up or your property taxes. Yeah, that's all well and good, but you know what? It's still a minority of the people deciding the rules, no matter how you slice it. Unless voter turnout insurmountably increases, maybe I'll get enough rejuvenation to actually take my ass to a poll. It's not like it's a big inconvenience or anything like that. The procedure is just fine. It's just the care is no longer there. I don't give a fuck to vote. I don't care. I don't care who's ruling the country. I don't care. And I know you're going to say, like, oh, that's so fucking ignorant to say that. Why should I care about something that at most 30% of the people in the country are going to elect? Because that's what you get. And when you get a president elected, 30% at most voted for that person. Because like I said, you're lucky to see 50-some% turn out to vote. Half of that ended up voting for one guy over the other. Anyways, just the ramblings of a disgruntled voter here that used to love and adore the American voting process, and frankly, I don't have much motivation to take part in it anymore. I really don't. And frankly, 35% of the people out there don't even care to register to vote as it is. I mean, I understand if you don't want to register to vote, that's your thing. Don't register, whatever. But it's like, don't you think there might eventually possibly be something on the ballot that you would like to take a stand on? I'm not saying you have to register and vote in every election, but why not at least register? Anyway, I don't even care if I ever register again in another state or anything like that, if I ever move or anything like that again. But who knows? Maybe I'll change my tune. Anyway, just like I said, the ramblings of someone who used to love and adore the voting process in this country, and elections come and go, and I don't care. Because frankly, this country deserves whatever pile of shit gets voted in office, because it's still just the minority of people picking them anyway. This is like having a family of 8 kids and 5 boys and 3 girls, and asking the 3 girls where they want to go on summer vacation and telling the boys that's where they're going on vacation. And the 5 boys go, well, we don't want to go there. Well, too bad. We already talked to the 3 girls. That's what they wanted. Oh, does that make sense? Oh, fuck if I know. I tried explaining math, and it already fried my brain when I tried to talk about percentages. I suck at math. Anyway, do you guys even give a shit about voting? You guys that are young, do you feel like motivated to go into the voting process? Because again, I frankly, I don't want to shun people from being inspired to go out and vote, because I feel that there's a lot of good candidates and a lot of good people to be behind them, like I used to be. But I just don't have the motivation out there to work on a campaign and, push the right guy out there in my mind. Anyway. Have a good day, everyone. A better tomorrow. And just to toot my own horn, I had dinner with Barack Obama. Alright, that's enough gloating. Have a good day, everyone.